Welcome to the third tutorial for writing scripts in Vegas Pro. In this tutorial we'll be looking at fading in and out on selected media events. So this is the project I ended with in the previous tutorial, and what we are going to do, and the first thing we are going to do is write a helper function that returns all the selected video events that we have. So I'm going to call it getSelectedEvents, and it takes one argument, which is your project. Return null, shut the compiler up, and the first thing we're going to do is make a list object of track events. Call it selectedList. Then we are going to iterate over all the tracks that we have in the project. So for each track in project.tracks. Then on each track we are going to iterate over all the track events on that track. So for each track event in track.events. Here we are going to check if track event.selected equals true. You could also just leave this out. And if that's the case, we're going to add it to the selected list track event. And then in the end we are going to return the selected list dot to array, because we are returning an array and not a list object. So this function is from the frequently asked questions file, and you can just copy paste it from there. To call this function you have to make a track event array, call it selected events again, and get selected events myvegas.project. Now in this selected events list, in this selected events array are all the events that you have selected on your timeline, but not in the order you might expect. Let me just show you. So if we have this on our timeline, and I select all of these, then this will be your first object, not the one that is first in the timeline, but the first in the timeline on the first track. So the order goes this one to this one to this one, here, 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 and this will be your last object, even though it starts at the very first second of your timeline. If you want to do it in an ordered way for the timeline, you have to write a sort function on this array afterwards. Now say that for all the selected events we have, we want to set a fade to a fade in of 10 frames and a fade out of 10 frames. So what we do is we iterate again over this list of selected events. In selected events, and we go track event dot fade in dot length equals timecode dot from, as you can see you can choose from seconds, from nanoseconds, but I prefer using frames, and say we want 10 frames, and the amount of frames it counts depends on your project. So in a 60 FPS project this would be different than in a 30 FPS project. And for the fade out we do the same, but we use fade out dot length. And that's as easy as fading works. As you can see, it has a track event has two fade objects in its class variables, and these you can alter. You can also set their curve type, so track event dot fade in curve equals curve type fast, linear, sharp, smooth. Let's go for fast. And let's demonstrate how this works. So I have an empty project over here. I'm just going to add some images here and select them all and run the script. And as you can see, each one got a 10 frame fade in and a 10 frame fade out. So thank you for watching this quick tutorial on fading in and out. And in the next video I will be handling user input, which is where things really get spicy.